Welcome to the Province Mortgage Experience podcast. My name is Tim Johnson. I'm the Regional Sales Manager. I am very proud to have a good friend and colleague, Mr. Brian Hoffman from Gora Financial, to discuss all things finance. One of the things I think that's important to me is that you call yourself a financial advisor. You know, I love that part of it because as Province, we call ourselves mortgage advisors because look, it's not your money and it's not my money. We advise people how to spend their money wisely. And that's one of the things I do love about you and what you do, with that piece of it. But you are a dual threat because, you're also an excellent agent at Charterhouse Realty, which I want to touch on too, because I think those two things are really a nice blend of, people's finances and their home finances. Having those two things together is important. But I want to start back at the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Born in New York and then raised most of my life in Connecticut. So I moved to Rhode Island about 10 or 11 years ago.
I know that. So my question to you is, you went to Ridgefield High School, correct?
Yes.
You did. And you were the captain of a very successful volleyball team. I want to know, please tell them the record that you had at Ridgefield as the captain of this, this astute program.
In a sport that prioritizes height, when your captain is 5'10" on a good day, I had a perfect unblemished record as captain.
You did?
Yeah.
And you had a 0 in one of those columns. I wasn't sure if it was the front or the back column.
It was the win column. It was 0-40.
That's impressive.
But we came really close twice.
I know.
Really close.
Look, I'm joking. One of the things. No. I know you went over. So my question is look, playing sports. We actually both played volleyball. Playing sports, when you go through that kind of stuff, and we all know that losing it's terrible. It's not fun. And to go about that, how did that experience really? How does that make you go forward? How did you keep that team together? How did you, keep all those guys together while you're kind of just getting your brains beat in all the time?
Yeah, so I was there when we founded the team, and it was, I had a lot of my friends on the team. We had a good time. It was just, we made the best out of it.
Yeah.
What else can you do? It's a fun sport, and we were playing against teams that had mostly people that were 6'7", and we did not have many of those people.
Yeah, it was a new program too, right?
Yeah, we were brand new.
Brand new.
But so I was made captain as a sophomore, even though there were seniors on the team, and that was pretty cool for me.
Yeah, that speaks a lot, especially being in high school. Usually, it's the juniors and the seniors that kind of rule the roost, and you were a sophomore
and vertically challenged.
Yeah, you're a reasonable height. Come on now. So so that piece of it, you graduated from Ridgefield. You were a Tiger,
yes,
right?
Sir.
And then you became a Blue Hen.
Yes.
At the University of Delaware, where you studied marketing.
Yes.
How was that experience?
It was great. I loved it there. Spent 4 years there. It was a lot of fun. Made some great friends, and it was very much viewed to me as it should be a 4-year experience, not a 5, 6, or 7 as it was for some of my friends.
You're going to be a doctor.
who are not doctors. But yeah, it was wonderful. And then I went out and just tried to figure out what I was going to do with my life from there.
Yeah. So, marketing in our industry is probably pretty key.
Yeah.
It's one of the foundations of kind of what, even while we're here,
Yep.
this is marketing. How did your degree in marketing at University of Delaware translate into kind of what you're doing now?
So I had a dual degree in marketing and management and a minor in econ. And it's funny because I ended up using all of them. I've managed people on a sales team before. I've always been in sales. And the econ background, of course, being in finance has been incredibly helpful. So, yeah, all sort of made sense.
Yeah, it does. Especially getting out there and you have to have, one, the intelligence of what you're doing, and two, being able to, to be able to relay that to people, I think is hard. It's hard, especially in this day and age where everybody's got a 30-second clip. Everybody's got,
right.
That white noise that's all in the background. To be able to kind of separate yourself from that is really impressive. And I think you've done a wonderful job to it,
Thank you.
So being what I call the dual threat, having, being a financial advisor and a realtor.
Yep.
How do you, express that to your clients? How does that translate to both sides of it. You know, I find it to be, you know, very helpful,
Yeah.
you know, when you're speaking to somebody about finance and also speaking to somebody about home finance, you know, how do you relay that to your customers and how do you keep the two separate but also blend the two together?
I'm careful about it. I mean, I don't always want to cross streams, if we can use a Ghostbusters reference from
Love it.
35 years ago.
Yep.
I think it's incredibly helpful to have both backgrounds. I really do. I think for some people, they fear if you're doing more than one thing, you can't be doing anything well. I obviously disagree with that, but there's one unique factor that I think links the two, and that any financial advisor and any realtor will tell you the same thing, and that's don't try to time the market, and that's either market, financial markets or real estate markets. I mean, I bought my house in 2019. That was an incredibly good time to buy it. I did not have some foresight. It wasn't some, like, I knew this was coming. I knew COVID was coming, and I knew prices would spike. But my house is up 60% from when I bought it. You know, and that's something that I couldn't have predicted. But I think home ownership is really key. I'm a huge proponent of it. And as far as generational wealth, you have a lot more people doing that through home ownership than getting lucky buying a stock early because they got insight from someone.
Yeah, I think one of the things you touched on was timing. You know, people are always trying to find the right time. Like, oh, I'm going to wait for the market to crash, or I'm going to wait for interest rates to go down, or I'm going to wait for this and that and the other thing.
I hear it all the time.
Yeah, man. But at the end of the day, nobody keeps their home for that long, or that loan for that long. You know, it's always changing. You know, like I say all the time, there's so much more texture to life. That, you know, you've had probably 10 jobs where our grandparents have had one.
Right.
They've had one job, one home, raised their kids, died in that house. That just doesn't exist anymore. There's so much more opportunity. And I think, you know, when you said timing, I think that's the right thing to be able to relay to people is, you know, the time is at the time. It's not necessarily, you know, hey, I hit it right here. You know, oh, sure. Did you get 3%? Wonderful.
Right.
You're just a product of the opportunity. It's not necessarily you hit it right. And I think that was really,
and you think you've got to buying a house is usually the biggest purchase anyone ever makes, right?
Sure.
Or at least the first massive purchase. You've got to do it when they're ready. So that's the only timing they got to worry about is when are they ready to do it?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, you know. So how did you, you know, get into the profession of financial planning and real estate? Like how did that transition come? You know, there's not really a school for realtors. There's not really a school for mortgage guys. You kind of like, I'm always curious that how did people navigate into that area?
I had such a traditional background. I was in the wine business for 12 years.
I remember.
And so I was managing a sales team, and I'd hit a point where I'd always wanted to work for myself. So I came to a conclusion that if I had a real estate license for a couple of years that I never used. This is going back probably 8 or 9 years now. I just couldn't do it. I was managing a sales team full time. You know, I had a team of people working under me. So I couldn't do anything with it. And I knew that if I didn't get into something that was also flexible, that I was working for myself, that I couldn't do it. So I had the little bit of the financial background. The first job I had out of college was in that realm. And I decided I wanted to take a giant leap and go back to that, but also start finally utilizing the real estate. And it took, you know, it wasn't easy. There was a lot of bumps along the way, and going from stability to a complete, hey, 100% commission all the way, it's not easy.
Am I going to get paid this month kind of job?
Or next month.
I mean, it's amazing to me in the not really short amount of time, but your success has come so quickly, it seems like. For me, just looking outside in, you know, what you've done in the real estate sphere and then in the financial planning sphere it's impressive, dude, you know.
Thanks.
And, you know, not only are you a good dude, but I mean, you translate well to your client success. And I think everybody wants to be attentive for their client. Everybody says, I'm attentive. I answer my phone. I'm like, well, you do the job.
Right.
You know, oh, yay, you answered your phone, or you talked to a client at 9 o'clock at night, or you went to an open house on a Saturday. Nice job.
Right.
You know, that's the job.
Yeah.
How do you feel like, you know, by taking it to like the next level, like what are some of the things or the tips that you would give somebody who's, you know, because the barrier to entry is so hard. What would be like some of the tips that you give to somebody who's new or just kind of starting out, or, you know, let's give them something where they can say, you know, hey, try this, you know, because not all of it works all the time, you know. Look, yes, answer your phone, be honest, all that other stuff. That's just inherent human nature.
Yeah.
You know, would you be willing to share with, the millions of people that are going to see this and share tips on, what was your biggest step into the barrier of entry to kind of gain to the success that you have?
I think the biggest thing is aligning yourself with people that are going to help you, that are supportive, having a support staff around you, having people that can train you the right way. I mean, and I think that learning both of my businesses was hugely important. I learned from great people. They're not the same people that I'm with right now. Now I'm with people that are very supportive of both of my industries. And that's been the biggest help for me, was getting into that comfort space of knowing that, hey, I'm working for myself, but I'm still under the license of someone else, right? I'm still under someone else's umbrella. So while I have all the freedom in the world, I still have people I have to answer to, not just myself.
Yeah.
And I think knowing that they are understanding that I'm doing both things has been huge for me. But you've got to, it all comes down to customer service. It all comes down to reaching out to people, being relatable, being approachable, and listening more than you talk.
Right.
That's probably the biggest thing I can say.
I couldn't agree anymore. And that's why I think we work so well together. It's like, I feel like we never really talk about actually what's going on at work.
Right.
We really don't. When we call each other, like, hey, you're going to talk to this client. And then it's just, okay, he's going to talk to this client and they're going to go find a house. And to me, that is invaluable. Like, I don't have to get down to the minutia. Like, you're going to do your job. I'm going to do my job. And I think it comes across to clients, the clients that I work with, it comes across to them that like, oh, these two guys just get along. It's like, they don't need to talk business because they, you know what you're doing and I know what I'm doing. So it's like, they're just like, we're just having a conversation. I think that energy and that vibe, and like you said, aligning yourself with people that have the same common interests and goals is, to me, that's everything to me, as a resource, just be like, hey, call my buddy Brian. And that's all I need to say.
Right.
I don't have to babysit. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Same goes for me with putting people in touch with you.
Tell me more about that. Tell me more.
I ran out of time. Sorry.
So you mentioned your mentor. You mentioned mentors and stuff like that. I've had mentors, and looking back through my career, some of the mentors that I have now, that with the experience that I have now, I'm like, maybe those weren't always the best. Do you have any experience, like when you're looking back at some of your early mentors, you're like, okay, that was an experience, and then maybe, been like, maybe that wasn't the right idea or the right path. I've had some myself. I'm curious to know, like, what are the pitfalls that you've hit and be like, oh, yeah, I ran into that wall pretty good.
Yeah, and I think you have to learn by falling on your face a few times.
Right.
I mean, parenting, we've talked about parenting a million times together, and it's like, you try to make the, less mistakes than your parents did, not repeat the same ones they did. And in work, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, that didn't work, even though that person assured me it was going to work. Okay,
right.
Try something different.
Yeah,
there's no other way around it.
Yeah, there's no right way. I mean, look, I think just being a good human being is 50% of the way. It's like literally 50% of the way.
Yeah.
And then just knowing your craft is like the other, 40%, and then 10% is just, being flexible, and being able to be, moldable as time goes on.
I think that's huge. That and just learning, always learning.
Yeah, dude, I agree. So you moved to Barrington, moved the fam to Barrington.
Yep.
And one of the things that I've always admired is that you're big into that community, like kind of always doing either your ridiculous polar plunge, which I will never do.
Really,
or you've really kind of gotten into that community and kind of been like, hey, I'm here and you're doing things. What's some of the things that you like to do in the Barrington community that's important to you?
Yeah, and I don't really know how it started. I just wanted to get involved once I became a homeowner, and so I found different avenues, whether it was the Barrington Business Association, which I now run. It was a chamber of commerce. It was different things like that, where I just wanted to find different ways to get in and see if I could make a small impact on the community. And it's been great because once I took over what's now the Barrington Business and Community Association, last year alone we did a street fair, which was the second time. We did the first one ever in Barrington, had about 2,000 people come through. It might have been the biggest event the town's ever had. You know, we did it in conjunction with the Recreation Department's Arts Festival, which no one's ever tried to partner up with them before. We did 5 farmers markets. We did educational seminars. We did, you know, a polar plunge, a trunk or treat, and a lot of stuff of just bringing different community groups together. Just, I don't know, that stuff makes me feel good. And
Sure it
it's,
does.
there's definitely some New Yorker in me that comes out when people are like, we tried that, it doesn't work. And I'm like, good, let's see.
Right. Let me show you how it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right,
You didn't really try. You just did it.
right.
You know.
So yeah, I mean, it was a town that was very similar to the one I grew up in Connecticut, minus the community piece, where I think there were certain aspects of that lacking that I hope to bring. I just wanted to see if I could bring more people together.
Yeah, dude.
That was the biggest thing. I got one idea for the fall with a really big dinner that I'm hoping I can pull off. That would be pretty cool for this year.
I like dinner.
Yeah, you'll be invited.
Wow. Nice.
You heard that? That's on camera. I will be invited.
Can pay for me too.
Probably a little thing that people haven't known. You did mention that you're in the wine business, which I was always very curious and excited about. So I call you my sommelier of wines.
Been called worse.
If you were to be a bottle of wine, what bottle of wine would it be and why?
Wow, this is a wonderful question.
You like that one?
So we played that game at my last job when I managed a sales team where what grape would you be? And I was unfortunately, based on my sales team, they said that I would be Pinot Noir because I was thin-skinned and delicate.
That makes perfect sense.
I did not
That makes perfect
appreciate
sense.
that.
No, that's
But-
that's spot on.
In sticking with what they said, because listen, that was how they viewed me. So how about a fine bottle of Burgundy, since that is Pinot Noir?
Okay.
So yeah, we'll go with that.
Do you have a specific, wine brand the Burgundy that you would like?
I mean, let's go with DRC. It's the most expensive wine in the world.
Okay, you heard it here first. DRC Burgundy, go buy it. For my thin-skinned friend over here.
Good luck finding it.
Good luck finding it. Well, listen, I want to thank you for your time, Brian. Not
Thank
only
you.
for your professionalism and what you do on both sides, but just as a friend. It's
Appreciate it,
awesome
man.
to be able to work with somebody that I actually enjoy hanging out. So what's the best contact, information? How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So phone number is still a Connecticut phone number, despite living here in Rhode Island. It's
dare you.
203-505-9654, and I have email addresses of bhoffman@gorafinancial.com and brianh@charthouserealtors.com.
Great. Thanks for coming, brother.
Thank you.
All right.
It's awesome.